Hi guys, welcome back to Who's Up Next, a channel dedicated to uncovering the truth behind politics. Today, we're going to fact-check liberal media in record timing. In the top left-hand corner is the Who's Up Next fact-checker, but first, the liberal meltdown of the day.
The hell? You cannot be serious! How did I wake up to this garbage as my president? That's right, garbage! I went to bed last night and she was ahead. I woke up to this freaking nightmare. Donald Trump? How? Does America have this many Nazi, Hitler following pieces of trash? I thought America was already great. Kamala had our economy skyrocketing. People were happy. You could feel the joy in her campaign. And then all of a sudden, it's just been hijacked by these freaks of nature that call themselves Trump supporters. What the?
Now, I'm not one to pray for world wars, but if the day does come, I hope he gets drafted first. I was going to do some commentary, but I literally felt my IQ dropping by the second, so we're just going to skip ahead to the video.
Is that Donald Trump has become extremely out of touch with what everyday Americans are feeling, what they're experiencing, their struggles to fill their gas tank or even to fill prescriptions. By him following his gut, he has led the country in a way when he was in office that went in the wrong direction. We know that because many of the voters said that in their exit polling, that they just didn't trust him any longer to make any type of economic decisions. They didn't trust him with Social Security, and they certainly don't trust him to make decisions about women's bodies.
Let's break that down. Trump has led on the economy pretty much non-stop since 2016. It's been his major strength and selling point. As far as women's rights, abortion is left at the state level out of his hands now. So to sum it up, they just nationally aired 5 lies in under 40 seconds.
Paris surrogate Mark Cuban, he now is in some hot water. This.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple. They're intimidating to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet Pam Bondi, probably one of the smartest and most powerful women in the US, as well as Trump's pick for AG. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a young Republican with a computer.
Just now, internally, asking myself in quite a worried way whether I might have made an error.
Donald Trump is completely out of touch with women. I mean, he has called Kamala Harris dumb. He has used the R word, which I won't repeat. But he has also said that she should not become the president of the United States because, specifically, that she is a woman of color. And so,
Alright guys, yes, he did call her dumb, but never did he say that she should not be elected because she is a woman of color.
You know, speaking of Nikki Haley, why do you think she is not on the campaign?
he doesn't want her there. I mean, Nikki Haley continues to be a threat to him. And there's no one more dangerous than someone who is insecure. And he's always behaved very insecure around Nikki Haley because she has the intellect. She connected with voters, and her numbers during the primaries, it scares him.
Yes, the 43-4 lead probably scares him.
It's telling them that it's okay to break from their party. Watch this.
This is a good one, guys. Get ready.
Your turn, honey.
In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose. You can vote any way you want. And no one will ever know.
Joy Reid blames white women for Harris's loss in North Carolina.
Thought that this wasn't very effective because it was such an exercise in hyperbole and selective edits and putting it together with, videos from the civil rights movement and stuff. Twisting Trump's words in ways that weren't meant from a president that, for some strange reason, made funding for black colleges automatic, right? Not exactly the kind of thing a white supremacist would do.
You talk about twisting people's words, and you are twisting LeBron James' endorsement right now by saying he's calling all of you racist. He's not. He's saying Donald Trump is racist. Here's the proof. Here are his words. There are people who fought really hard for me to have the right to exercise my right to vote. I will do so, and I'm going to do so publicly. Now,
Respectfully, I didn't see any of Donald Trump's words being twisted in the video that LeBron posted.
I'm also curious. What are the words that you say are being twisted?
he actually has a production company, so it could have been his.
But not him himself. It's beside the point.
You think he didn't okay? You think he didn't approve what he put out?
Beside the point.
Tell us what you think is being taken out of context.
I think so. When you cobble together videos from the 50s and 60s of the civil rights movement, and you have Donald Trump saying essentially, these people are terrible, what you're implying is that he is like the white segregationists of the 50s and 60s who thought black people were lesser human beings, should not deserve to vote.
That's exactly what he meant. That's exactly what he meant.
Okay, but that's not anything Trump has ever said.
Well, I think
so that is twisting his
words. The death penalty for 5 young men of color, black and Latino, and then never apologizing, never acknowledging that he was wrong.
Okay, so at the time, these men were believed and convicted to having committed this crime. So how was he supposed to know that they were innocent? At the same time, they've done nothing but try to prosecute Trump for 4 years on make-believe fairy tale evidence. And I haven't heard one person apologize to him yet.
You think that's not otherizing?
I mean, what Anna's talking about is
most of the Congressional Black Caucus voted for the crime bill. It was a different time.
He was investigated for not renting to black people.
The sound that you hear of Trump at the end of the video, we have that full video, the context, right? He was on Larry King. This was in 1989.
At the time those charges were brought to Trump, he was 27 years old and the president of the real estate company that his father had. So 27 years old, and they were trying to convict him.
Talking about the Central Park Five.
A reporter asked me whether or not I had any compassion or feeling for the people that did it. Do I have hatred for them? And I said, look, this woman was raped, mugged, and thrown off a building. Thrown off a building, on top of everything else. She's virtually, she's got some major problems, to put it mildly. I said, of course I hate these people. And let's all hate these people, because maybe hate is what we need if we're going to get something done.
Now, the only part of that entire video that you'll hear is the part where he says, maybe hate is what we need to get done. That is how they edit those sound clips and post them to use his own words against them. He was talking about a woman who was killed and raped and saying that we should hate the people who did that to them, which I think is a absolutely true statement.
Maybe hate is what we need is the part that was used in the video, but it was used to make the point that Trump, at that time, took out a full-page ad in the New York Times proclaiming the guilt of these 5 black and brown men, largely because they were black and brown.
Sure.
Literally nothing to do with the color of their skin, just the mere fact that they were found guilty of murder and rape. So,
voters for whom that very idea of hate being a driving force of our politics is a central core issue for them. There are a lot of.
I don't know if that ad.
Well,
I think
I guess what I'm saying is, do you concede that there might be some voters who might look at that ad and say, "Yeah, I don't want us to go back to a time
I would love
when hate was driving."
I would love to see
the leaders of our country.
I would love to see some data, whether it's quantitatively or qualitatively, that would lead me to believe that someone saw that ad and all of a sudden said, oh my God, I already dislike Trump and all of a sudden I dislike him more. I don't think that's the case.
And we cannot deny at this table that racism is still the most intractable issue in this country.
That guy's literally just a race hustler. Like, race card, race this, race that, use the hateful speech, race, race, race. Like, that is all those people do to try to scare them into who they're voting for.
That's not what I'm saying.
What LeBron is drawing attention to in this race, that race, in fact, does matter. We have a choice in this race between hate and love. We will see if love wins. But what's wrong with LeBron reminding us that race has been central to the campaign that Donald Trump has run?
I'm not. Who does Amber Rose's endorsement speak to? I mean, Donald Trump is parading out whatever celebrity he's got. It's just they're not as big a name as the ones that Kamala has.
You've been a lifelong Republican. You know.
Yeah, I mean, the weave is on his head and in his mouth, and it's not working.
It clearly worked, Mark.
You know, he's slowed down. There's no question about it. Having known him for 25 years, early on in the early 2000s, you can have a legitimate conversation with him. It's just now it's talking point, talking point, talking point. And I just don't see, you can see he's declined. It's just reality. Father Time is undefeated.
Make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
You can't be 78 years old and not expect some decline.
Good news, Mark. We finally did beat Medicare. The crazy thing is that he's talking about our candidate, but these are the same people who told us Joe Biden was as sharp as a tack.
Do you think voters see it that way? I mean, obviously it was a major issue for Biden. He's not in this race anymore because of it. They don't see Trump the same way?
No, not at all. Because Trump never is intellectual about anything. You don't ever think of Donald Trump and think, wow, that was really an in-depth conversation he had with somebody. You don't think of Donald Trump and say, that was really nuanced in what he had to say about this position or his policy. You don't hear him talk in-depth about policies at all. And so you can get by with just sound bites. You can get by with being loud and boisterous and salesy. And to some people, that comes across as being the right thing to do.
I mean, it comes across like that to a lot of people. We're looking at how close this race is. And, you know, we had the town hall with Harris this week. We heard from voters saying, I want specifics from her. I want to know what my taxes are going to look like when I'm filing them in April if she's in the Oval Office. And just when you compare that, as it's now become the same, people are focusing on the double standard that the both of them face. You know, Trump's plan is tariffs, which, you know,
don't work.
He likens to, or Harris likens to a Trump sales tax. And drill, baby, drill is what he told me at the town hall.
Isn't going to work.
Well, also the U.S. is producing more oil right now than we ever have.
Okay, so that is true to an extent. The U.S. is producing more oil, but the president doesn't really control how much oil is produced in the country.
Ever,
well,
which
neither
you don't
side
really
really,
talk about.
That's just the nature of the candidacy. Neither side gets into details because Kamala Harris came into this race 13 weeks ago in a deficit in awareness. Even Donald Trump said, who is Kamala Harris? Nobody knows who she is. So she spent the last 13 weeks letting people get to know her.
I've watched a lot of Kamala Harris speak, and the only thing I know is she grew up in a middle-class family, and that is because of the internet memes.
It's tough to do that and to get into detail on policy. Donald Trump has been doing this for 9 years, and he still hasn't gotten into depth in policy. So,
but why do you think he's not punished for not having policy, but she is?
Well, it's like anything else. If you never do something,
not having details, I should say.
Yeah, it's like anything else. If you never do something, you're not expected to do it. If you hear policy and you hear analysis and you have somebody who's pragmatic and open-minded like Kamala Harris, then which is why she has surrogates like me. I can go into the weeds and talk about any of these subjects.
Are you worried she hasn't had enough time?
Yeah.
Do you think that could hurt her in 11 days?
I mean, if she had 26 weeks or 52 weeks, it would be completely different. People would know her better. She would have had more time to talk about details, but she doesn't. And like a good CEO, like a good leader, she's put together a team, including myself and others, to go out and communicate things she doesn't have time to communicate. And I think I've been effective. I know.
Cuban was so effective that he deleted all of his Harris tweets right after she lost.
Well, I'm sure you didn't mind it. Van, how do you see these two closing? Because honestly, like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or when all the votes are counted, et cetera. But Trump doesn't sound like he's closing strong. That's just a take.
Republicans control all houses. I'd say that's pretty strong.
Look, I don't know what Trump is doing. If he decided, I want to lose this election and I'm going to do everything I can to lose it, he could come up with better stuff to say. I mean, he might be in some kind of nightmare. He's trying to let us know he doesn't want the job. But I'd rather talk about Kamala Harris. And, you know, the closing that she's doing, I think, is positive for the country. You know, everybody says, you know, be negative at the end, you know, close strong. Negative works better than positive. She's choosing to be positive. I think that's important. But what we're discovering at the grassroots level is that there are some arguments against Trump that haven't yet been made. If you're trying to get young black guys in the streets of Philadelphia to vote, tell them that Donald Trump is going to make every cop do stop and frisk, which he's committed to do, wants complete immunity and amnesty for every cop, no matter what they do, and that he's going to federalize petty street crime. The Trump crackdown.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. The final count is 30-5 in just 15 minutes, and they host shows all day long, so you can do the math. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe on my new channel, and maybe comment what topic you want me to cover next. Alright, thanks. Till next time.